DM and player tips for the week of November 23rd, this fine Saturday. DM tip: create a list of NPC names so you're not caught off guard, because you know they'll ask every freaking time. What I do is I have a list of what I call male type names from A to Z, and then I have another column with female type names from A to Z. And every time I use one, I cross it off, and I even jot down in the notes where they met that character so that I can recall it when needed. So I'm never kind of fumbling for a name. When my characters ask me like what someone's name is, I always have something at the top of my at the tip of my tongue. So I would strongly recommend creating a list behind your screen, A to Z, at least one list of A to Z, if not like a left and right column of male names and female names, just so you have them available so you're not fumbling around when your characters go looking for that type of information. The second DM tip: saves and checks don't have to come right as something happens. Have PCs roll in advance. The delicious tension can last for a few minutes until they realize what it was for. Don't show your hand every time something is about to happen. So I'll often ask my players to roll a save when I know a trap's coming up or something that they might want to know about is somewhere lurking on the horizon. And then when that thing happens, then I'll mentally recall the save they made. And the reason I did this is similar to the tip that I gave last week, which is just casually roll dice behind your screen every now and then, because you want to avoid telecast behavior that shows your players that something's going to happen or something lurks or looms, right? So this allows you to do that, still have the result, but keeps your players guessing on the when or where or why, so that they don't get used to just seeing you roll a dice and immediately tensing up or start to pre-plan how they're going to deal with whatever you throw at them, because it's way more fun when you catch them on their heels, right? The fourth tip we issued this week was for players: take the time and flesh out your character backstory. The more you give, the better a DM can build your meaningful storyline. I love character backgrounds as a DM. I encourage my characters to pump out as much or as little information as they want. Of course, not everyone is, a fledgling author. Not everybody wants to produce a whole lot of content. For the ones that do, I always say the more you give me, the more I can give you back through this game. And I'll go through that and I'll look at their relationships. I'll look at the people they're involved in. I look at their upbringing, their motivations, their challenges, and I'll really try to tailor, or I will absolutely tailor, the content in the game around those. And it's really fun to see those intersect when a party all comes in with their individual backgrounds and motivations and how they play out in the storyline. So it's a really great story building tool for me to have rich, robust backgrounds for my players. And it's fun for them too. And when they submit a background before coming into session 0, then they're already invested a little bit. And that immediately sets them at a more elevated level to begin endeavoring into that campaign, or really kind of buying in and drinking the Kool-Aid of a campaign setting or a story arc. And it helps you set up your tone as a dungeon master as well, and get a read on how much your players are willing to front load out of the gate. So I think this is a really good practice. Highly encourage it. And I encourage you to encourage your players to do the same and give you as much backstory and information as they can so that you can work with it, really customize and tailor the experience, which helps them become more immersed. And I think that's a lot of fun for everybody. So keep it in mind. The final player tip: when planning your alignment, plan for how that will create an interesting dynamic to work with your fellow players, not against them. And this kind of came from that alignment conversation as well. Whatever you determine, or however you determine your player is morally oriented, whether you use alignment or not, try to think about how that will exist in a collaborative environment. So when you're working with a team and with a group of players, provided that's the style that your DM is offering, try to figure out how your moral leanings will play out in an environment where you have to contribute, not take away, or not throw upside down, or not burn to the ground, right? Because it is a mutual experience at the table. It's intended to be friendly. If you have people who are just trying to murder everybody or steal everything all the time, then it is invariably going to create tension at the table. So rather than leaning on alignment as an enabler for you to act a certain way, particularly if it goes against the grain or can threaten other people's experience, think about how that moral leaning and alignment is intended to help you contribute and exist in a team-based setting